Chapter 4. A Wedding in the Woods. Alex spent the following afternoon on the grand balcony of the fairy palace. She leaned on the railing and gazed at the beautiful sights around her. Everywhere she looked, she could see fairies of all shapes and sizes preparing the palace and the gardens for the inaugural ball. Every flower bloomed a little brighter, every pond rippled a bit clearer, and every bird's chirp was a little merrier. The whole kingdom was buzzing with excitement for the ball, except for Alex. A year ago, Alex had wanted nothing more than to live with her grandmother in the land of stories. Just the idea of learning magic and becoming a fairy had seemed like a stretch. But here she was, days away from being introduced to society as a new member of the Fairy Council. It was more than she could ever have wished for, more than she would have ever have thought possible, and maybe more than she could handle. After defeating Ismea, the evil enchantress, she had proven herself capable of leading the fairy tale world. Perhaps she still hadn't proven it to herself first. A large shadow eclipsed the balcony, and Alex looked up to see Mother Goose and Lester descending from the sky above. "Hey, kiddo, I got something to tell you," Mother Goose called down. Lester landed on the balcony, and Mother Goose dismounted and joined Alex at the railing. "What is it?" Alex asked. She eyed a questionable sack of gold coins Mother Goose had clutched in her side. Mother Goose cautiously looked around the balcony to make sure no one was in earshot. "Now, don't tell anyone you heard this from me, but I just ran into some friends of yours at the Dwarf Forest." "What were you doing in the Dwarf Forest?" "I was playing my weekly card game with a few of my gambling buddies. But that's not the point." Mother Goose held the sack of coins a little bit tighter. "I bumped into Jack and Goldilocks. They had some very exciting news to share with me, and I wanted to pass them along to you." "What is it?" Alex asked eagerly. The last time they saw Jack and Goldilocks had been the night Bob proposed to her mom at the Charming Palace. She had always wondered what kind of mischief they had been up to since they... "Apparently they're getting married," Mother Goose said. Alex happily clapped her hands. "That's incredible news. I guess Jack popped the question while they were in combat with a gaggle of corner kingdom soldiers. He said he knew it would make Goldilocks swoon," Mother Goose said. "When are they getting married?" Alex asked. "This evening, just before dusk in the Dwarf Forest." "Talk about short notice," Mother Goose told her. "They decided it would be best to do with as little notice as possible. You know how cautious fugitives can get about their whereabouts. They asked me to officiate the ceremony and pass along an invitation to you." "Well, that is short notice, but I wouldn't miss it for the world." Alex was suddenly happy that her grandmother was forcing her to take the week off. "But where in the Dwarf Forest?" "They told me to meet them in the clearing just south of the dwarf mines," Mother Goose said, and shrugged an eyebrow. "I don't know why they want me to have their wedding there. Maybe all the swamps were booked. Anyway, the guest list is very exclusive. Only a few people know it's even happening. So keep it to yourself, especially around here. You know how judgmental these fairy folks can get when any of us try to have a little fun now and then." "How exciting," Alex said. "I can't wait. I think a wedding is just what I need to distract myself from all this inaugural ball business." "Tell me about it," Mother Goose said. "I hope I still good for it. The last time fishing at a wedding, Puss in Boots drank all my bubbly and started playing a fiddle. A cow convinced everyone to jump over the moon, and an enchanted dish ran off with a spoon. You know it's a good party when even the china gets a little hanky-panky, but I'll tell you more about another time." Mother Goose hopped aboard Lester, took his reins, and they flew back into the sky. Alex was thankful to have something to think about besides the inaugural ball. She left the fairy palace a good hour or two before dusk to meet Cornelius so they would have enough time to travel in the dwarf mines. However, when she went out to meet him in the field just outside the gardens, an even greater distraction was waiting for her. "Hello there," said a smooth voice Alex wasn't expecting. Alex stopped in her tracks. Across the field near the edge of the stream, she saw Cornelius lying on back and Farmer Robinson's son rubbing his belly like a kid. "What are you doing here?" Alex asked, and placed a hand on her wand. She couldn't be too sure what his intentions were. "I hope you don't mind the intrusion," the farmer's son said, walking close to her. The truth was, Alex didn't mind at all, but she wasn't about to let him know that. "How did you find me?" "I didn't. I found a unicorn," he explained. "He wasn't hard to pick out. I assumed if I found him, I would eventually see you again." Alex had to assess the situation twice. First, as a fairy, she assumed the boy whom she had recently helped was probably seeking for help again. Second, as a 14-year-old girl, hearing that a cute boy wanted to see her made her blush. "Well, here I am. What can I help you with?" Alex said collectedly. "I don't need help with anything," the farmer's son said. "I just wanted to thank you for what you did in our farm. My father hates fairies, especially when they help us out. But I know it. Deep down inside, he's grateful too." Alex nodded. "You're very welcome." "Wait, what's your name?" she asked. "My name is Rook," he said. "Rook Robbins." "Well, it's very nice to meet you, Rook," Alex said. "And you never have to thank me. Helping people is what we do best. Now, if you please excuse me, Cornelius and I have somewhere we need to—" "Wait," he stepped between her and Cornelius. "Before you go, I have something I want to ask you." "What's that?" she asked. Rook looked at his feet and kicked a rock near his foot. "Truth is, you're different from any other fairy I've ever met. You're not all sparkles and bubbles, and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. I really like you, and I've been thinking about you an awful lot since I saw you at the farm." Alex couldn't feel her heart start to beat a little faster, but she ignored it, not wanting to get her hopes up. Where was he going with this? "You can say no, and I would understand, but I was wondering, would you like to take a walk or something with me sometime?" Rook said. He was scared to ask the question and terrified to hear the answer. Alex stopped completely. She stopped breathing. She stopped thinking, and she was pretty sure her heart stopped beating. She forgot about everything on her mind: the fairy inaugural ball, Jack and Goldilocks' wedding, her name, who she was, where she was, and everything else important. All she could think about was the attractive boy in front of her, his floppy hair, his hazel eyes, and how he wanted to take a walk with her. With every second that Alex stayed quiet, Rook's face fell a little more into a frown. "That's all right, I understand," Rook said. "You're a fairy and I'm just a farmer's son. I should have known better than to even have asked." Rook turned around and headed out to the field, muttering to himself how stupid he is. "No, wait!" Alex regained control of her senses before it was too late. "I would love to go for a walk with you sometime." Rook jerked his head, his whole body back to her. "You would?" he said in a goofy grin. "Well, that's splendid!" The two stood silently for a moment with the giddy smiles frozen on their faces. "When will it be free?" Rook asked. "Is tomorrow evening good? Same time, same place?" "That would be wonderful," Rook said. "I'll meet you on this field tomorrow." "I'll look forward to it," Alex said. "Enjoy the rest of your day." "Wait, what's your name?" "My name's Alex," she said. "Alex Bailey." Rook was smiling from ear to ear. "I'll see you tomorrow, Alex." He jogged out of the forest with a confident jump in his step. Alex finally understood what people meant when they said they had butterflies in their stomach. She felt a jittery tingling sensation sweep through her whole body, as if 1,000 butterflies were migrating inside of her. A huge smile appeared on her face. Cornelius got to his feet and walked to Alex's side. He blew a gust of air in her face and bared the teeth of a flirty smile. "Oh, stop it, Cornelius," Alex said. "We're just two people who decided to go on a walk together. That's all. It's nothing more than that." Cornelius neighed. Alex wasn't fooling anyone, especially herself. This was a much bigger deal than she wanted to admit. "Oh my gosh, the wedding! We better get going or I'll be late," she said. "It's crazy how fast time goes by when you're—" Cornelius bat his eyelashes and sighed, teasing her to no end. No, when you're running late, Alex said. Alex climbed to Cornelius' back, and the two headed west to the dwarf forest as the sun began to descend. Galloping across the land of Cornelius' magically enchanted pace made the trip to go by fairly quickly, and the thoughts precluding in Alex's head made it seem that much faster. After all the tribulations she and her brother had gone through in their young lives, until this moment Alex had never had any headspace to think about boys. She has always assumed one day she might meet someone and fall in love, but as she got older, she never dawned on her that one day could be getting closer and closer, and now she couldn't help but ask herself if that moment had arrived already. Was Alex at the beginning of her own classic love story, or just entering a stage of adulthood? Was she about to express romance for the first time in her life, or just a mild case of puppy love? Did Alex even want to be invested in someone this early in her life, or should she put all her energy into her fairy training? She couldn't believe how much excitement and mystery one boy had brought into her life so quickly. Was it too early to say she was enjoying this newfound excitement? Would it lead to more exciting experience? Could Rook Robbins be the lover of life, or would there be other boys in her future? And if there would be others, did that mean Rook would break her heart? Alex knew that all people need to protect herself. She had been working too hard to let a silly boy come in and ruin everything she had achieved. She couldn't let him hurt her, distract her from her goals, and most important, if things went askew, she couldn't let him turn her into something or someone she wasn't. She couldn't let anything turn her into his Mia. Since he had caused her head to spin in so many directions just by asking her to go for a walk, she realized how deeply a bad experience might affect her. The purer the heart, the easier it was to scar, and Alex's heart was as pure as they came. "Alex, get a hold of yourself," she whispered under her breath. "Just because you're a 14-year-old girl doesn't mean you need to think like one. You just want to walk, not marriage." Thankfully, before she could overanalyze the situation to death, Alex and Cornelius crossed into the dwarf forest. It didn't matter how old or powerful she became. The thick and dangerous woods of the dwarf forest always gave Alex the creeps. These woods were home to some of her worst memories, and to some of the worst creatures that lived in the land of stories. She guided Cornelius up one of the only paved paths in the territory, and followed a sign that pointed in the direction of the dwarf's mine. Just before they reached the mines, a spacious clearing came into view. The clearing had been staged like an outdoor chapel. 24 logs had been positioned like bench seats facing the front, with a large boulder stood like a pulpit. Carved in the pulpit were the initials J and G, surrounded by a heart. "Go find some grass," Cornelius Alex said as she hopped off the unicorn. "I'll come get you as soon as the wedding is over, but don't go too far. These woods aren't exactly unicorn-friendly." Cornelius trotted over to the other side of the clearing, while Alex looked for a place to sit. She was one of the first guests to arrive. A man with thick, curly mustache and a heavy black coat sat in front near the pulpit. A witch who was missing her left arm and most of her teeth sat in the very back. A small troll that had gray skin and large horns. Sitting in the center of the makeshift chapel was a woman Alex could have picked out in any crowd. She was sitting alone, wearing a large, fluffy red coat that covered most of her body. A tiny red hat with a matching feather was perched on top of her very stylish blonde hairdo, and she wore a pair of round glasses with red lenses in an attempt to conceal her identity. She glared at the people and creatures around her, anxious about being in their presence. "Red, it's good to see you," Alex said and took a seat next her to the covered queen. "I wasn't expecting to see you here." "Shh," Red said and pressed her finger against her mouth. "Keep your voice down. I don't want anyone to know who I am." Alex looked at her like she was joking. "You're trying to hide in that outfit?" "Well, forgive me, but I didn't know what the proper attire was for a fugitive wedding in the woods, Red said and hid her face deeper into the coat. I wouldn't be here except for that Charlie talked me into it. Look at the characters around us. Where did Jack and Goldilocks meet these people? Child's nightmare? Where is Froggy? Alex asked. She couldn't spot her formerly cursed friend anywhere in the clearing. He's in the woods somewhere with Jack, waiting for the wedding to begin, he said. He's Jack's best man. Oh, that's adorable, Alex said. Who's Goldilocks' maid of honor? Red gave an irritated snort when she didn't mind the other guests hearing. Clearly, this was a sore subject. The horse is. Alex had to bite her lip to keep from laughing. I suppose it makes sense, Alex said. She and Porch had been through a lot together. You two, on the other hand, have always had, how do I say this, teetering relationship. Yes, it's always been very give and take. I give and she takes, Red said. But we made up once she gave me back the diamond necklace she stole from me and thought it was just a joke. I thought it was an act of punishable by death, blah, 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 but reconciled, and here I am. That's good news, Alex said. So, how you been doing, dear? How's your grandmother been? And everyone in the fairy kingdom, Red asked. Shimmery as always, I imagine. Red let out a long sigh. Everyone is getting ready for the big fairy inaugural ball coming up. I'll officially be part of the fairy council and the happily ever after assembly when it's over, Alex said. She hesitated to bring up the other major subject in her mind, but she figured there weren't too many people in her life she could talk about it with. Yeah, I sort of met a boy. Red did a double take and yanked off her glasses. Her big blue eyes grew even bigger, and a crooked smile stretched across her face. A boy, she said loudly, a topic obviously so exciting she couldn't be bothered to worry about disguising herself anymore. Tell me everything. Where did you meet him? How was he? How tall? What class? What race? What species? Alex had difficulty remembering all the questions. He's the son of a farmer of the Eastern Kingdom. He's older and taller than me. As far as I know, he's human. For now, Red said. Trust me, being involved with someone who has been cursed to live on and off as a grotesque creature can put a strain in the relationship, but he sounds very promising. I love a good working class man. What's his name? Rook Robbins, Alex said, and she couldn't help but smile just mentioning his name. I can tell you really like this boy, Red said, with a raised eyebrow. Alex sighed again as she felt the butterflies reappear on her core. I'm not sure if I'm even ready for this, she confided. I just have so much on my mind these days. I'm not sure if it's a good time to add a boy into the mix. I keep worrying that it may turn into something really special or really awful. And to be honest, I'm not sure which would be worse. Oh, Alex, you need to relax and just enjoy the moment, Red said. You only have a first love once. What's the worst that could happen? I could get my heart broken, take my aggression out by enslaving the world like the Enchantress did, Alex said, matter-of-factly. That's a tad extreme, Red said, but you're nothing like her, so you have nothing to worry about. Who's to say I'm not, Alex said. This is the first time something like this has ever happened to me. If I'm not prepared enough to go through it, I might be scarred for life. Red placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled warmly. The first cut is always the deepest, but not every cut leaves a scar, she said. If you spend your whole life worrying about getting hurt, then you aren't really living. You don't want to shield yourself so much from the bad stuff that nothing good gets to you, either. Meeting up with a cute boy who likes you isn't going to hurt you. Thanks, Red. That was really insightful, Alex said. A little surprised Red had so much knowledge on the topic. Well, if there's one thing I know, it's about its first loves, Red said. Then again, when I was 14, I ruined 2 loves by trying to be with the boy I liked, so I'm not sure how good the advice I'm giving you is. There was a thin line between in love and insane, and I crossed it many times. But looking back, had I not experienced all those awful things, I could never met Charlie. So, in the long run, it was all worth it. They smiled at each other. Red was probably the closest thing to a big sister Alex would ever have. Red had spent years of her life chasing after a boy she could never have, and yet here she was today, happily supporting him at his wedding to another woman. Red had come a very long way, and if Red could overcome heartbreak, Alex figured she could too. So, when do you see him next? Red asked. Tomorrow evening, Alex said. We're going for a walk. Oh, how adorable. I've always wondered what poor people do for their first dates, Red said. I insist you stop by my castle tomorrow before you see him. We can talk about boys, and I can help you pick out an outfit. You sure you wouldn't mind, Alex said? Aren't you busy being the queen of your own kingdom and all? Oh, no, I'd be delighted, Red said. I just have this silly little meeting in the House of Progress. But you can come with me and we can chat during all the boring parts. What's the House of Progress? Alex said. Surely she must have heard her incorrectly. Didn't I tell you, Red asked? It's just like that place you were telling me about from your world, the one with all the representatives. Congress, Alex asked. Yes, that's the one, Red said happily. I decided to copy it. I have a representative from each neighborhood in the Riding Hood Kingdom. Help me and ask all the decisions. That way every decision is a well-rounded one, and I can't be solely blamed for everything that goes wrong. But Congress sounded so dreary and bleak. I wanted my House of Representatives to sound promising and uplifting. I thought Cream Red Riding Hood's House of Progress had such a better ring to it. There was a movement in the trees around them. They could hear several people approaching the clearing from different parts of the forest. Speaking of rain, I think the wedding is about to start, Alex said. Like clockwork, as the sun began to set in the horizon, the remaining wedding guests emerged from the trees around them. Each guest was shadier than the next. There was an ogre covered in yellow warts who took a seat in the front. He was followed by a woman with bright red eyes who knew the witch in the back and sat beside her. A rugged dwarf led a blind dwarf with 2 eye patches to sit near Alex and Red. A goblin couple with green scaled skin sat in front of them. A woman covered in maroon robes sat close to Alex and Red. The only part of her body was exposed was her beautiful green eyes. She seemed friendly enough, but like Red and Alex didn't want to make herself too known in this environment. Red looked to the sky and took deep breaths, trying to fight off the anxiety that the newcomers caused her. A loud swoosh made Alex jump as Mother Goose swooped down from the sky on Lester's back. They landed in front of the clearing, and Mother Goose took her place behind the stone pulpit. She took a large swig from the glass she had hidden from in her hat and cleared her throat before starting the sermon. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever the rest of you are, Mother Goose said. We understand a lot of you are on a tight schedule due to being on the run from the law, or have tried to eat or kill each other from the past, so we'll make this celebration as short and sweet as possible to avoid any discomfort. Let the wedding begin. The crowd cheered, which was an interesting combination of hoots, hollers, and growls. Jack and Charlie, the man forever known as Froggy to the twins, appeared from the trees behind the pulpit. They both wore sharp red shirts and looked as handsome and charming as ever. Jack looked anxious as Red about being there, but in a good way. A short series of thumps came from the back of the clearing as Alex turned to see a white and brown spotted fowl walking down the aisle. He had a basket of rose petals in his mouth and was breathing very heavily, blowing the petals out of the basket and scattering them across the ground with every exhale. That's adorable. Who is he? Red asked. That's Porge's new son, Red whispered back. They called him Oats. Not too long after Oats reached the front of the clearing, his cream-colored mother trotted down the aisle beside him with a bouquet of daisies in her mouth. Once she joined her son and the others in the pulpit, she quickly chewed up the flowers in her mouth and swallowed them. Everyone, if you still have legs, please stand for the bride, Mother Goose said. The guests stood and turned to the back of the clearing. Red stayed seated until Alex pulled her up to her feet. A flock of sparrows perched high in the trees began to sing a beautiful ballad as Goldilocks appeared. She was stunning. She wore a simple but elegant white lacy dress with a long train. She was barefoot, and her golden locks of hair flowed all the way down to her waist. Wild flowers had been wrapped around the handle of her sword, and she carried it down the aisle like a bouquet. It was beautiful but lethal, just like Goldilocks. Despite all the gruesome guests, no one could deny that the ceremony had turned out to be beautiful. Goldilocks arrived at the pulpit, and she and Jack faced Mother Goose with tears of joy in their eyes. "Well, sit down already," Mother Goose ordered the crowd. Once they've obeyed, she continued officiating. 407 years ago. Oops, wrong speech, sorry. Dearly beloved, we are gathered, God knows where today, to celebrate the joy of these two wanted fugitives. Mother Goose turned to face Jack. "Jack, do you take Goldilocks, a woman charged with countless burglaries, breaking and entering, and running from the law? Don't forget attempted murder," Red called to the public. "I wasn't going to," Mother Goose said. "And attempted murder to your outlawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, and arrested imprisonment until death do you part." There was no question in Jack's mind. "I do," he said, with the biggest smile he had ever been seen with. Mother Goose turned to Goldilocks. "Goldilocks, do you take this man, a national hero, whose reputation you single-handedly ruined, to be your outlawfully wedded husband, in sickness and in health, and arrested imprisonment, till death do you part?" Goldilocks had never looked so happy in her life. "I do," she said. "Well, in that case, let's get this thing over with," Mother Goose called out. "With the power suddenly interested in me by the happily ever after assembly, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the..." Before she could permit it, Jack and Goldilocks locked legs, and their crowd of guests cheered wildly. Once they were done kissing, they climbed astride porridge and galloped back into the aisle, and off to the sunset with Oats following closely behind. Mother Goose snapped her fingers, and a sign magically appeared over Porridge's back. It read, "Just married." Watching the wedding had somehow made all of Alex's fears and doubts about taking a walk with Rook go away. She wanted to be just as happy as Jack and Goldilocks one day, and she didn't even care how many emotional obstacles she'd have to go through to get there. "Alright, now everyone get out here before I'm seen with you," Mother Goose said. "And to that ogre in the back, you still owe me 17 gold coins from our card game last week. I haven't forgotten." All the guests disappeared in the forest as quickly as they had appeared. Froggy joined Alex and Red in the center of the clearing and gave Alex an enormous hug. "Hello, Alex. It's wonderful to see you," he said. "A lovely wedding, don't you think?" "It was beautiful," Alex said. "Don't you think it was beautiful, Red?" Red didn't respond. Her arms were crossed, and she was frowning in the direction Jack and Goldilocks had ran off in. "Darling, what's wrong?" Frog asked. "Didn't you enjoy the ceremony?" "I did," Red said unconvincingly, "especially the dress. Because it was mine. She stole it from me." Right, that is the end of chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more from the Land of Stories, A Grimm Warning, and more books to come. Also, if you have any recommendations for me to read, don't forget to comment down below on any ideas you want me to read later on. But overall, I hope you all have a wonderful day and hope you enjoy the reading.